We talked about Highguard yesterday, the absolute failure that it is. I don't think anybody can really say it's not been a failure unless you're a PC gamer, which we'll get to that in just a little bit. But there's been a lot of talk about this game, Highguard. And this is the game that was released at the end of, or announced at the end of the Game Awards with Jeff Keighley. He was so excited about it. And we all kind of saw this coming from a mile away. Celeste, did you play any Highguard?
Thank God I did not touch that game with a 90 football.
What about you, Lady Decade?
No, not at all.
Okay, you're not alone, because what happened was there was the initial push, obviously, of the game coming out, and then word got out that the game sucked, and 90% of the player base was gone like a few hours later. It was. I've never seen anything like it before. Never. Been doing this for a long time, and we saw yesterday a lot of these people who worked on Highguard start making posts on their social media. Hey, this is what happened. I'm no longer working for them. Sorry, that sucks. And look, to be clear, we don't like it when people lose their jobs. But there was an article posted on X yesterday, and it's gone viral, about reflecting on shipping my first game from Highguard. This is from Josh Sobel, the tech artist and rigger, formerly of Wildlife. That's Blabs. What is that word there again?
No, I think you said it just right. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. He works on 3D art and stuff like that. Okay, so this is lengthy, but I think it's important that we do read this. Okay, and so gather around, and let's get to it. You see, it has 3 million views, as this has definitely gone viral. But it's important that we read this as best as we possibly can, as least as I can. Okay. Apologies for the length. Been wanting to say this for a while. The day leading to the Game Awards 2025 was amongst the most exciting of my life. After 2.5 years of passionately working on Highguard, we were ready to reveal it to the world. The future seemed bright. Everyone I knew who had any connection to the team or project had the same sentiments. This is lightning in a bottle. I trust this team wholeheartedly. If there's one project nobody in the industry is worried will fail, it's yours. This has mainstream hit written all over it. There's no way this will flop. I could play this game all day. These are all things that, hey, anybody who played the game said this game is on fire. This is going to be the next mainstream hit. And you know who was a part of that, by the way? Jeff Keighley.
Yep.
Right? So the internal pre-reveal feedback, even from unbiased sources, was quite positive. And where it was negative, it was constructive and often actionable. People who played the game, including us, had a blast. And since we were an independent self-published studio built with royalties in mind, many of us were hoping this could finally be the thing that broke the millennial financial curse. So they were all lined up with their hand out, ready for this thing to be successful. But the trailer came out, and it was all downhill from there. Content creators love to point out the bias in folks who give positive previews after being flown out to an event, but ignore the fact that when their negative leaning content gets 10x the engagement of the positive, they've done just as much incentive to lean into disingenuous direction, whether consciously or not. Okay, so here it is, the quick turning of the finger. The hate started immediately. In addition to dogpiling on the trailer, I personally came under fire due to my naivete on Twitter, which almost all of my now former coworkers had learned to avoid during their previous game launches. After setting my Twitter account to private to protect my sanity, many content creators made videos and posts about me and my cowardice, amassing millions of views and inadvertently sending hundreds of angry gamers into my replies. They laughed at me for being proud of the game, told me to get out the McDonald's applications, and mocked me for listing having autism in my bio, which they seemed to think was evidence that the game would be, quote, woke trash, which, by the way, I don't think I saw anything about this game being woke at all. Blast, did you see anything about this game being woke?
No, I've been telling everyone since day one. It's not actually woke. It's just a shit game that has no clear objectives.
Yes. All this was very emotionally taxing. There is much constructive criticism that can be and has been said about Highguard's trailer, marketing, and launch, but I don't think it's my place to commentate on that. I also don't think there's any way to know whether the launch would have fared better or worse without the massive spotlight that it was thrown onto us in response to the Game Awards trailer placement, but we never got that chance. Victim. We were turned into a joke from minute one, largely due to false assumptions about $1 million ad placement, which even prominent journalists began to state as fact. Within minutes, it was decided the game was dead on arrival. The creators now had free rage bait content for a month. Every one of our videos on social media got downvoted to hell. Comment sections were flooded with copy-paste meme phrases such as Concord 2 and Titanfall 3 died for this. At launch, we received over 14,000 review bombs from users with less than an hour of playtime. By the way, that should probably tell you everything you need to know about the game. Many didn't even finish the required tutorial. In discussions about Highguard, Concord, TXKO, and such, it is often pointed out by gamers that devs like to blame gamers for their failures. And that's silly, as if gamers have no power. But they do, a lot of it. And I'm not saying our failure is purely the fault of gamer culture and that the game would have thrived without negative Discord, but it absolutely played a role. All products are at the whims of their consumers, and the consumers are put absurd amounts of effort into slandering Highguard, and it worked. Many of Highguard's former devs will now be forced to assimilate back to actual corporate industry many gamers accused Wildlight of being a part of. Now, every time someone thinks about leaving the golden handcuffs behind in favor of making a new multiplayer game the indie way, they'll say, but remember how gamers didn't give the Wildlight a chance? Soon, if this pattern continues, all that will be left are corporations, at least in the multiplayer space. Innovations is on life support. Okay, so let's go stop there. Lady Decade, this is the first time you've heard this, and we'll continue because there's more here. There's a lot more here, but we'll finish that here in just a second. Your thoughts on hearing that?
Okay, what I'm seeing there, sorry, I had my glasses on, so I'm really paying attention. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance going on there. So it's obviously been in receipt of an awful lot of toxic positivity by the looks of it. It is coming across to me that they don't seem to realise that the proof is in the pudding. That's literally it. If you don't want to receive the ire of the internet, don't make a shit game. Because people are so namby-fucking-pamby these days, and everyone wants to be all encouraging and, let's just mollycoddle the fuck out of everybody so that they don't have any realistic expectations of the world. And then you put something out there into the real world, and you are throwing, every single time a game is released, it is out there for the wolves. It's out there for the wolves. And only the fittest are going to survive. And that game obviously wasn't it. And it doesn't matter how many times someone patted you on the back and went, that's a really good job though, innit? That's not going to make a good fucking game. And it is possible to make a good fucking game. And that clearly wasn't it. And then to go out and sit there and write a twit longer about it, to plead your case and say, it's not really the fault of the gamers, but it is. Oh, fuck off. Calm down. Why don't you sit there, get a reality check, calm yourself down, and do better next time? Or, if you can't stand the heat, get out the fucking kitchen.
Okay. Speaking of the kitchen, let's just say I'm a baker. Little metaphor here. I'm a baker, and Celeste comes over. She's like, hey, you make great bread, right? And Phoenix comes over and he goes, man, your bread's so good. Blabs comes in. She's like, hey, your bread's really good. It could use maybe some more salt or something. A little constructive criticism. Okay, I can correct that, right? And everybody around me is going, your bread is so good, right? But I don't go outside of our friend zone here. And I don't bring it to, I don't know, maybe the neighbor down the street I've only met a couple times, right? To get actual feedback. I then open up a store that took 4 years of development on. It took 4 years for me to flush out this store and perfecting my bread. And I release that bread, and everybody thinks it's the most generic bread ever. As a matter of fact, the guy over there having a nice loaf of bread that he's been eating for the last several years because it tastes good in a sandwich. He doesn't want to put down that bread to come have my bread because there's nothing great about it. It's just generic bread. It has no flavor. Should I blame the people, the consumer, for not liking my bread because my bread is totally generic and is not any better than anybody else's bread?
No, that would be on the producer to make it better.
You would think. It would be on me. You said the word toxic positivity there, Lady Decade. And yes, this is toxic positivity. Everyone I knew who had connections to the team or the project had the same sentiments. Lightning in a bottle. I could play this all day. This says mainstream hit written all over it. This is toxic positivity to its core here. All right, let's go ahead and continue here because there's more here when it comes to this. Because for me, this is not even the worst part, this idea of being in the bubble. When we talk about the toxic positivity bubble, it seems like all the time on this show. I think this is such a great example of toxic positivity. And there we'll see us saying toxic positivity and say that we're just railing on the game. No. What we're railing on is you didn't listen to any feedback at all outside of your bubble that was constantly praising you the entire time. You have to get your ass kicked in life. Sorry, that's the reality of it. And nobody came in with gloves on to tell you your game wasn't good. Just generic. It's a 5 out of 10. No reason to play anything else. Or according to IGN, a 7 out of 10.
Can I just say real quick, too,
Yes.
just imagine if someone came out from that team and just welp, that didn't go as we planned. And then you go listen, guys, we put our heart and soul in this. Sometimes you get things wrong and, we want to try and do better. We're going to listen to feedback, da-da-da. You do that and people are suddenly behind you again. You do a little joke, a little bit a little humility, and suddenly everyone's rooting for you. When you do something where you're just on this blaming everybody else tour, it never works out right. It never, ever works out.
Well, it continues. It continues here with this post. And I want to continue this because this is the part that I think most people are missing when it comes to this. Even if Highguard had a rocky launch, our independent, self-published, dev-led studio full of passionate people just trying to make a fun game with zero AI and zero corporate oversight deserve better than this. Here's the reality. You don't. Because your game is being released against those companies that have AI, that have corporate oversight. Whether you like it or not, when you step into the arena, you don't deserve shit. That's the cold, hard facts of it. If you're not good enough, you cannot compete. And Highguard was not good enough to compete. We continue. We deserve the bare minimum of not having our downfall be gleefully manifested. Phoenix, you said this yourself. They're doing it to themselves in the situation here. I have no sympathy. But let me tell you the worst part here. I wish the best of luck to the few who remain at Wildlight and hope Highguard can stay the course. I still believe in it, and so do the fans we reached. You reached. We continue to champion it on subreddit, Discord, Twitch, and social media. Even though this adventure has come to an abrupt and emotionally challenging close, I don't regret 1 second of it. Here is the part that I have the most problem with. Also, I want to shout out some incredibly supportive journalists and creators who genuinely made a night and day difference during the past 2 months. All these folks deserve far more credit than they get for their empathy, intuition, and integrity. Okay? These creators right here, these folks, this is toxic positivity. This line right here, supportive journalists. That sentence should never exist. If you are a quote unquote journalist, you should not be supportive to any project. That defeats the idea of being fair and biased. You are no longer a journalist. You are a propagandist at this point if you're going to champion things. And I said this over here, flies in the face of everything a journalist is supposed to be. It's not impartial. At this point, you're not a journalist, but a propagandist and or activist. This is a massive red flag. These folks right here, Fran, over at IGN Forever, these folks, I got a couple people from Kinda Funny over here. All these people should be called out. This is your problem. This is your toxic positivity. This is why you wasted 4 years and millions of dollars on creating Highguard to appease people that are just going to seal clap for you the entire time. And in reality, aren't going to go out and don't have no audience that will go out and support the game. Don't blame us. Don't blame us. Blame them. Blame them for just applauding and seal clapping the entire time. That's the cold hard truth.
The thing is that the author of that post had made a decision about how they forecast that game was going to perform. It's not performed how they've expected, and now he's chucking essentially a shit fit about it. Because you can't pre-decide that something's good. You can't just put something out there and then say, this is brilliant. I want all of you to play it and it's going to have so much success. And the paragraph that he said about being an indie company and they're not slave to corporates and so on and so forth. Okay, apart from the minimal AI use that Expedition 33 had, well, so were Sandful. And you know what the fucking difference is? Sandful put out a good fucking game. You didn't.
Celestium, you got anything on this after hearing that and kind of look, for me, this comes down to very simply, it's not our fault. It's your fault, idiots. That's what it sounds like to me. Love to hear your thoughts, Celestium.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about Highguard until maybe a week or two ago because I follow Doki Bird and she's into FPS games. I don't know if you guys know her, but she's a really amazing VTuber and she's into the FPS scene. And she gave some really, really constructive thoughts. Obviously the game was garbage, from her point of view, but she gave some really good advice. They didn't really think about the players. They made it really grindy. 5v5 mode, what if you don't have anyone to play with? What are you supposed to do? It didn't seem very user friendly, if that's the right terminology to use here. It just seemed like they were pushing the blame off on the viewer here and not taking much responsibility at all, no accountability at all.
Well, which I think is we've seen this a million times, this idea of the lack of accountability in society now. And I think that the fact that it's being manifested at an entire game studio with over 100 people working on it. And you have this guy who's I wonder if this guy, Josh, has received any messages from the team he worked with going yo, dude, shut up. Would you shut up? We don't need this right now. And to be clear, I emailed Josh and was like, hey, do you want to come on and have an honest, real conversation about this? And he declined. He's like, I just need to process this in my own way. Cause I understand giving him space because this is obviously a very traumatic thing that's happened to him. They thought this was a surefire hit. He was counting on this to end his poverty or whatever he said in there, he had high hopes for this, but the invite is open, and it's open whenever he is done decompressing. Because I think having a realistic discussion about this game is actually super important. Because I truly don't think that him or the developers who got fired understand that their game just wasn't fun, and that's the crazy thing about it.
And I guess my question would be did they open it up to actual gamers who are in the FPS scene? Because they could have, given them all keys and be we need your honest feedback. You can't just go in and say you guys were mentioning, right, the whole bread thing. I give it to Blabs, give it to, Phoenix here. And you guys are my friends. So you'll probably say it's yeah, it's good to not hurt my feelings, but you need constructive criticism. And sometimes you got to go even a little further than that to make it better. No pain, no gain.
The amount of times that I've thrown out an idea and Blabs and Phoenix have been like, what? That has to happen. Whether it's internally or whether it's externally, it's honestly sad to see that he still has the blinders on and they still have the blinders on. And he has been pointed out on X. This is from Thomas Mahler, who is from Moon Game Studios over here. He says, I think it's time we talk about something uncomfortable. Over the last decade, social media has fundamentally changed how people experience reality. Social media algorithms reward agreement, and then communities form around those shared views. Dissent gets filtered out. Over time, you stop hearing actual criticism because you're right, or not because you're right, but because you've essentially curated it that way. That certainly feels good in short term. You feel validated all the time. You start to feel that you're special because you surround yourself with people to tell you that you are, and you're telling them that they are. And you're all one happy fucking family full of very special people. And that creates a dangerous illusion that your bubble represents the actual world you're in. Then you get a reality check. You ship a product, you release a film, you launch a game. And suddenly you're not being pampered anymore. And it feels shocking, almost offensive. Because how could you have been wrong after you've been told you're right so many times over and over and over again? I think it's such a great thing right there. And he's 100% right. 100% right here. Kotaku, though, going to bat over here. Once again, we talked about this guy yesterday. This is the senior writer for Kotaku. The amount of reactions to this post proving the post point is off the charts.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
retarded.
trust Kotaku for anything, honestly, when it comes to games and anime culture.
Or anything.
Or anything, right. Tell me again how disconnected you are with the audience. Again, keep in mind, this is the guy who said this game was super fun yesterday on the show, if you recall me pointing that out. And we have this viral post. If a streamer loses 90% of viewers in one stream, bad streamer. If a restaurant loses 90% of customers in one day, bad restaurant. If a series loses 90% of its audience, one episode in, bad series. But if a game loses 90% of its players in 2 days, it's the player's fault? Preach.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just common sense. If that game was really good, no matter what, so you would have had the flood of first people coming in with people to be just to meme on it or whatever. But then if it was a really good game, you'd go, you know what? Actually, this is actually not that bad if it was really, really good. So this whole thing of I don't know, when has it ever worked blaming the audience for anything? When has that ever paid off for any company or individual? It never, ever does.
Never.
I don't know why they keep going to that tactic other than these are just man babies.
I think you nailed it. It's man babies. Coddled man babies built around that have been in toxic. That's the thing. Toxic positivity. This is a phrase that has come into the zeitgeist over the last couple of years, which needs to be addressed. It is just as bad as toxic negativity, if you will. I would say it actually does more harm than just going around telling everybody how great you are. Well, you see this, it started with the entire trophy generation of you're so great. It's so
I was
awesome.
just gonna say that. Not that I grew. Well, I know it started with like the millennials and stuff, but like even Gen Z, like everyone was getting, a trophy, or if you if you participated, you did really great. And I never liked that because I'm someone who's like, if you don't earn it, if you don't work for it, what does it matter in the end? Like, sure, you can do an okay job, but there's usually someone who's better than you, and merit is merit at the end of the day. Just try to do better next time.
I coached my daughter's soccer team one year or for several years, and we only gave trophies for first place. And,
Good.
Yeah, and the only when we won, they felt like they earned it.
Sure.
Like we were given like little medals and trophies for finishing, second or third or whatever. I didn't even hand them out. Wouldn't even hand them out. And some people say, "Oh, you're a jerk." No. That means when they got one, they earned it. They felt good about it, And you wonder if Highguard is just another example of a trophy generation,
It sure is. Like I'm so in my career in the past before Side Scrollers, I actually only I only wanted to hear the negative. I have no interest in positive anything because it doesn't do anything for me. For me, it's like the simplest example. If you're going on a date and there's two of your friends and you're going, "How do I look?" And one person lies saying, "Wow, you look great. There's a ketchup stain on you. You look ridiculous." They're like, "You look fantastic." And your friend goes, "You look like crap. You need to change right now." That person just saved you of embarrassment, and now you may even have a successful life partner for the rest of your life. Where the one that just gave you that momentary good, I feel good for a minute, you just ruined everything else past that moment. So in the long run, it does you no good. Let me be clear. Constructive criticism and feedback, I'm not saying just railing on somebody, but is way more, is critical. You don't want to surround yourself ever by yes men, because at the end of the day, then you're going to fall, your empire is going to fall if you just surround if you're surrounded by only yes men. You need some people on there to go, I would rethink that, you know?
Of course.
Reminds me of two things.
Yes.
My half sensible answer is toxic positivity reminds me of being like an adult equivalent to gentle parenting. And every time I see someone going, oh no, gentle hands, whenever I'm at the soft play, I'm like, love, your kids just hit my kids. Oh, well, no, you mustn't do that. When the reality is you should be saying, right, go sit down, you little shit, we're leaving. Like,
Right.
that's what you should be doing. And then the second thing, and this is my not sensible answer, is the way he's reacting kind of reminds me of in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, when Ichiban is getting really, really bad advice from Adachi and Nanba about how he should get ready for his upcoming date with Psycho in it. And it goes really, really bad. And then it's just, this is why you shouldn't go to your closest and your nearest and dearest on something really important.
I love that you brought it back to anime. I love it.
No, I brought it back to a Sega game.
Oh, that's what I said. Sorry. Sega game.
Ryu got the Yakuza series.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear your reference. I'm sorry. I was my bad. Sorry. Speaking, by the way, Phoenix, you mentioned embarrassing. The cope is real from PC Gamer.
Oh,
Highguard didn't flop,
of course not.
Uh-oh, here we go.
which the community note is great. This makes it great.
This is wonderful.
Ooh.
This and people are seeing right through this right here, like this straight up gaslighting, like awesome bait. And I have not clicked this to read it because,
Don't want to give him money.
yeah, I'm not handing that out, man. That's crazy. Well, there you go. Rest in peace, Highguard. Shut your former devs up. How's that? Does that sound good? There we
That's
go.
embarrassing, yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. Clips of the show all the time. The live show Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Hit that subscribe button right here.